Hi there, and welcome to Ancestral Recall. I'm your host, Eli Kaplan. Today, let's talk about a fairly minor but important creature type in Magic, the Sphinx. There are 38 Sphinxes in Magic as of this moment. Almost all of them are rare. Sphinxes are a well-known mythical creature derived from ancient Middle Eastern religion and folklore, with some key common characteristics. Sphinxes have human heads and bodies of a lion. Some of them also have wings. The oldest known representation of a sphinx dates back to 9500 BCE in Turkey, but the most famous one, well, the one in Giza, Egypt, is a massive structure, nearby several of the largest pyramids. And yes, there are also sphinxes that appear in religious art in India, Thailand, and Burma. In the West, the literary tradition of the Sphinx is rich, as many Greek myths include these wise beasts confronting many heroes and demigods. Now, the Greek stories valued wit and knowledge as well as strength and virtue in their heroes, so the ferocious yet disciplined Sphinx was a famous antagonist, because the Sphinx could eat any damn hero they damn well pleased, generally speaking, but they also craved intellectual sustenance as well as meat. So they had to abide by their decisions of parley. And so this mechanic fit the color dictates of Magic perfectly. Sphinxes are usually mini-games in Magic, providing riddles or surprise coupled with evasive beats. Sphinxes are almost always costed at a premium, but some have seen significant tournament play despite high mana costs. Why? Well, Magic is an intellectual game coupled with savagery and tactics, and those mental elements are a perfect fit for Sphinxes. Interestingly, unlike most real-world representations of fantastic creatures, Sphinxes are often presented as female, not only male. These creatures are beguilers as well as predators, and some artists back in the day just wanted to draw parts of the female anatomy since they were already working outside the realm of the factual. What exactly do Magic Sphinxes do? Well, the first Sphinx appeared not in Arabian Nights, as you might think, but rather legends. Mehta Sphinx, the only mono-white member of the tribe, came with reasonable stats for the time and had the ability to mill a player for one unless they could correctly name the top card of their library and then add it to their hand. Unfortunately, despite having very prominent wings, the Mehta Sphinx does not in fact fly, thus suffering from whippoorwill syndrome, and this does terrible things to a card's reputation. This very rocky start kept Magic from printing Sphinxes for over a decade, until Wizards decided to test the waters in Ravnica block with Isperia, the guild leader of the Azorius Senate. And while Sphinxes like Isperia did not overwhelm tournaments, the card did garner a favorable reaction from the players, and so the door was open for Wizards to experiment with a blue tribe of large flyers. Also, manticores are a cousin of Sphinxes, but manticores have a much more feral, hostile nature. They don't have a humanoid head, they just hunt, fly, and scream at people. Civil discourse is not a feature of manticores, so they're not on the list. So with that out of my system, we're going to talk about the top 10 coolest Sphinxes in Magic. Now, in order to make it to this list, the rules are it has to be a creature with the type Sphinx. That's obvious. The card has to do something cool in Magic. Now, it doesn't have to be played in constructed formats per se, although that certainly helps. And so, without further ado, number 10, Vexing Sphinx. At 1U for 4/4 stats, this Cold Snap representative is a cheap beater and the cheapest Sphinx on this list, as well as the cheapest in Magic. Now, the Sphinx has a really odd ability, cumulative upkeep, that isn't a mana cost. But the most likely way it'll play out is like this. Play the Sphinx, then add the age counter on your next upkeep and discard 1. And attack for 4 on turn 4. Hey, that's pretty aggressive for blue, and that's cool. Then on turn 5, you can let the Sphinx go and draw 2 cards. Or you can go for parity and more damage and discard 2 cards, then attack for 4 more, then draw 3 cards on your next upkeep by letting it go. Now, Vexing Sphinx is surprisingly mana intensive for blue, which usually doesn't go quite aggressive, but casual players can couple this with Madness and get a whole lot of card advantage out of this. Of course, if your opponent has exile effects or bounce effects, the whole plan could totally go awry, but as part of an aggressive blue flyer deck, well, hey, Argents Sphinx is a neat trick, and dang, it's cool. Argents Sphinx. 4/3 flying for 4 mana is very efficient, and not something you usually get in blue. As a representative of Mirrodin, this Sphinx can be extremely crafty, dodging removal spells ad nauseum if you have the metalcraft and mana to back it up. While Argent Sphinx is definitely not worth building an entire deck around, if you're interested in aggressive blue artifact builds, this guy is probably worth your time. Number 8. Arbiter of the Ideal. Okay, like most cards on this list, it's insanely expensive, and it's about card advantage. But unlike most cards on this list, the Arbiter doesn't draw you cards, it gets you free permanents off the top of your deck, and makes them enchantments as well. Inspired is an ability word which can have many serious implications. Freed from the Real comes to mind as an enabler as well, and honestly, this card only had one thing holding it back in constructed play, and that was its mana cost, because it does something amazingly surprising and cool. Number 7. Arjun, the Shifting Flame. Nicknamed Mehta Sphinx. Now, Brian David Marshall is a good friend of mine, and one of BDM's absolute favorite things to do in Magic is to see a new hand. Now, seeing new hands constantly makes strategy confusing for your opponents who can peek at you, but rolling with the punches and having a chaotic hand, digging for that one card that you want, is tons of fun. And 6 mana for a legendary 5/5 flyer ain't terrible either. The name Arjun somehow suggests Kaladesh to me, by the way, but anyway, this Sphinx is pretty damn cool. Also, if you look at his head, it's on fire, making it automatically cooler than 96% of anything. See Ghost Rider from Marvel Comics as an example. Sandstone Oracle. This is an amazing card in Commander, where decks that aggressively empty their hand can get an instant refill. And this ability is available to every color, even green. Now, the Oracle's combat stats are a bit less effective, but the fact that this improves accessibility to late game strategies of every color makes it incredibly cool. Number 5. Sphinx of the Steel Wind. This baby's the Esper version of Akroma, Angel of Wrath, featuring 6 different potent keywords on a huge 6/6 body. The mana cost is admittedly really high, and white disenchant effects are going to make you feel terrible for having played it, but this is an epic creature regardless. Lifelink means that you are not going to be losing any races anytime soon. Number 4. Serra Sphinx. This is an iconic reimagining of Serra Angel if the color pie were a little more flexible, because blue has had vigilance from time to time, dating back to Legends with Zephyr Falcon. Another reason that Serra Sphinx is on the list? I absolutely adore the Planar Chaos time-shifted frames. Just looking at this card will put you into a trance. I want a language set of these stat. Number 3. Metamai the Ageless. This creature takes a bit of work to function as intended, but if you can get Metamai to stick onto the table, taking 2 turns to your opponent's 1 is incredibly hard to beat. And if you're looking for a creature to partner with Planeswalker control decks, where extra turns turn into insane counter and loyalty advantage, Metamai is extremely hard to beat. Number 2. Enigma Sphinx. Cascade is a riddle of the mechanic. What exactly will you get from this beast? You'll just have to wait and see until you cast it. And the Enigma Sphinx doesn't ever really go away either. It just takes a nap for a turn or 2, then shows right back up on the battlefield. 7 mana is steep, sure, but your opponent will be so perplexed by all the advantage that the Sphinx will win you. So yeah, this is definitely worth a try. It's been reprinted several times, but hey, that's just Wizards telling people you need to play with this card. And the number 1 Sphinx of all Magic is Consecrated Sphinx. Yes, this is not my favorite card on the list, but so many Commander players will virtually pelt me with rocks if it doesn't get this spot. In Standard, Consecrate Sphinx was an other powerhouse, letting you refill your hand constantly. In group games, left uncontested, this guy will let you draw your entire library in a very short amount of time. Being a parasite, doing everything better than your opponents, begs a very important question. What are you going to do about this guy? It's so easy for combo decks to go off when you're drawing 7 cards regularly over the span of your turn and waiting for your next turn. And when your library is running low, assuming you haven't won the game yet, you can even choose not to draw those extra cards. So yeah, Consecrated Sphinx does so much. And so that's why I have to rank it as the #1 Sphinx in all-time Magic terms. So anyway, guys, that's my list. I hope you enjoyed it. We're going to be waiting a little while for the next episode since my computer has a very bad tendency of the monitor display dying on me. So we're going to be waiting a little while on my Star Trek episode and the Legacy episodes, but I wanted to get this out there for you guys to enjoy. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, like, subscribe, and check out my other videos if you haven't already. Thanks a lot. This is Eli Kaplan for Ancestral Recall, signing off. Good games and good luck.